Here are the horoscopes for the week of the 12th to the 18th of August 2024. So this week the big news is on the 14th. We have quite a powerful alignment, which is Mars meeting with Jupiter. So Jupiter takes 12 years to go around the zodiac and Mars takes 2. And we are looking at 16 degrees Gemini. So find where 16 degrees Gemini is in your chart, which house, any planets in aspect, to see where this might be happening for you. But Jupiter tends to take a year to go through a sign and clear the way. It's got a clearing energy, an expansive energy, but in order to expand we need to get rid of obstacles. So Jupiter's year in Gemini is already well established, and we're looking at clearing our mind, clearing our perspective, improving our communications, and this can have a positive aspect on friendships and relationships as well, as Gemini is the lovers, how we interact with each other one-to-one. So we're used to this energy. There will be a retrograde and then Jupiter will move on into Cancer next year. But for Mars to come along and meet, that really energises this combination. A bit like a detonation. If there are stubborn obstacles, they could get exploded. They could come up to the surface in a fiery way in order to be cleared completely. So it feels like a detonation, but with a positive result of a clear road ahead. So we can have a look at the way we think, we can have a look at the way we communicate, we can have a look at our interactions with others and see if there's anything there that we want removed under this strong aspect on the 14th. At the same time, these two planets square Saturn in Pisces. I've had Saturn in Pisces for the last couple of years, completing its cycle of the zodiac and giving us a spiritual core, really, the strength within to be able to explore beyond the five senses, to explore the deeper questions of life without getting lost, drifting away, or getting caught up in illusion and delusion. So to have Mars and Jupiter square Saturn, or if we look at Jupiter first, Saturn constricts, brings things into alignment, whereas Jupiter expands. So these are already two competing energies. And then to add Mars into the mix, then whereas with Gemini we were talking about the mind, communication, interaction with others, with Pisces in the mix, we can actually find an emotional core, find our backbone based on soul self, not being so reliant on others or the outside, but also clear away any very long-lasting emotional baggage, because we can actually inherit certain things from our ancestral line, which we're very much here to clear at this time. So we have our ancestors, mitochondrial DNA, we have our own perception of our past up until now, which builds an emotional portrait, but that, if held onto for too long, can turn into a victimhood, because the things that we chose to experience in our lives are simply lessons and they're not supposed to be carried along. But with Pisces it fears forgetting and repeating painful situations, so it tends to hang on and remind itself all the time, watch out, you could get hurt, that kind of feeling. So we have an opportunity here with a square, which is a tense aspect. Each side needs to be seen separately and then find the middle ground to clear a lot of emotional baggage, but also to find clarity in our mind and express from a higher place. All this happening while we've got Mercury retrograde in Virgo. So by Thursday Virgo goes back into Leo, but we've had the first few days of the retrograde in Virgo, which is very much take your mind in on itself. We're looking for clarity all the time, but that's the only place that you're going to find it. This being embodied by the Hermit card in Tarot. Take that light inwards, find your own inner intuition and guidance system. Learn to discern and judge what's right and true. So it seems strange to talk about mental clarity while we're in the middle of a Mercury retrograde, but that's where it'll be found, really. Things you've always known to be true, that you can feel to be true. So a very soulful combination, lighting up the middle of the week, can bring tensions. So an example here would be if Mercury retrograde is causing difficulty in communication and relationships, then that retrograde can actually be used with Jupiter meeting with Mars to actually relearn how to communicate. Because we all communicate differently, but we always expect somebody else to communicate the same way that we do, and that's where the misunderstanding can happen. So can we actually just even explore communication? Listen and observe how other people express themselves. And also there's really a theme about not being so reliant on words and verbal validation. It's only 5% of language is verbal. So can we actually take this opportunity to explore body language, gesture, eye contact, and even energy body? What's someone saying to us when we're not even talking to them or looking at them? Can we feel the invisible communication that's going on there? So I feel this really peaks on Wednesday as the moon makes the final square in Sagittarius, which is the sign of wisdom, seeing the bigger picture, expression of much bigger topics, meaning of life, philosophy, spirituality. So Jupiter and Mars in Gemini, Saturn in Pisces, the retrograde over there in Virgo. But adding the moon to that, then there really can be some very powerful issues uprising for clearance, for greater understanding, for heightened perspective, if we don't get too caught up in the detail, and we can actually do what the retrograde tells us to do, which is listen and observe. 2 ears, 1 mouth. Then by the end of the week we're heading towards the full moon in Aquarius, which will be full on Monday, and this one has a square to Uranus, so another tension building there. Uranus rules Aquarius, so there's a real breakthrough, real insights, really unexpected but relevant and timely bolts of lightning will be coming through for the Aquarius full moon on Monday. So if you'd like to see where this is happening for you, I am available, zoehines7@gmail.com. Do astrology readings and courses, tarot readings and courses, and some of those are very practical. So you've got your own personal power calendar. Doesn't apply to anybody else. Do you know your dates of power? Do you know how to use them, how to harness that energy with ritual and intention and clearing? Got how to turn your chart into a tarot scope so you can see it in picture form, which is really fun and enlightening. We've got how to work with the moon cycles to make your own personal lunar calendar. So your chart is more than a static object of the position of the planets when you were born. It actually progresses over time once we start working with the daily transits, but also realizing our own cycles and special dates. And this is how we can really embrace a unique vibrational soul print and make the most of the energies for ourselves. I also offer coaching. Really want to bring up things that you've been holding on to for too long that you're ready to release. Then coaching sessions are very useful for that, and still based on your personal chart and using tarot as a visual tool to assist. So please do email me zoehines7@gmail.com for a one-to-one customised, recorded more clearly. We've had lots of new information to take on board, lots of shifts and changes lately, and this year really is dedicated to being able to assimilate new information, change our minds and see things from a higher perspective. So with that in mind, we start the week with Mercury recently moved into Virgo. And Virgo has exactly that capacity to be able to see the big picture and the small pieces and what needs to be done to get to the harvest. So with Mercury, our perception and our processing mind in the sign of Virgo for the next couple